back. Okay. Click the wrong button. All right. Cool. Let's jump right straight into it. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's going well. I had a little bit of a hiatus, had people over. Life was busy, let's just say that. Anyway, I am back. So let's jump straight into it. I am just making sure all my screens are hunky-dory. And it looks like they are. All right, cool. Got music playing. I've got the age verification stuff up. When prompted to say verify your age, screen explain. They've got enough video footage of me, so hopefully that verification happens. For those that want to know, in Australia, the government have been like, nah, anyone under the age of 16 can't go on social media and stuff like that. It's an absolute mess. That's all I know about it. Yet I have to prove my age on a multiple different sites and stuff like that. It's annoying. It's silly. All right, cool. Getting into it. I might as well close that. Let's go to our local host. It's 5173. There we go. I think that is correct. I should double check what branch I'm on. Yeah, I'm on the right branch. I just didn't have colors on my Mac. All right. Don't know why. Hold on. Sorry. Keyboard's on the Mac settings. There we go. That's a lot better. All right. Making sure. Yep. All right. Cool. So it looks like, yeah, I did have the background color brown. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to continue with this. I've moved some stuff around. I've done a little bit of research. I've going to tackle a couple of problems tonight. We're just going to continue building this out. Yeah, and making it look nice. So we're only going to focus on this at the moment. I do want to look at the font sizes and font choices. We're going to probably read a couple of articles very, very quickly. Yeah, nothing exciting. And yeah, the idea being is I kind of want to get this mock-up done before Christmas. At least the new project and the project side of things, and getting just a general sort of message saying what I'm doing and so forth like that. And once that's done, then I can work on other things like how I'm going to test the application, what sort of libraries I'm going to be using for testing. I'm also going to start translation of the application, setting that up, being like, all right, cool, this is how we're going to sort of translate the application and all that kind of fun stuff. So if I do the design, means the design's done, I can then, you know, I'll put that out there and be like, hey, can people look at this? So yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's close that. Let's just minimize everything. I've done a little bit of movement around with some of this stuff. So the router now just has router.ts instead of index.tx. I just hated it like that. The components themselves, I've started adding in stuff as their own sort of folder. So the dashboard will have the dashboard page, and then there'll be dashboard page under there. There'll be other components potentially in here. Yeah, the idea why everything will have its own sort of folder structure is we will be doing stuff like dashboard page.spec.ts, implementing stuff like this with the unit testing. So yeah, and with the unit testing dashboard page spec.ts, we'll essentially sort of set up all of that too. Now the dashboard page itself, we just really need to test to make sure that it loads. And if we have a look at this, actually there was something else I did before. I think the error, as you see, not page found, we've got the test and so forth like that. Yeah, with this, we've got the mount component to be truthy, and that's pretty much all we need. I've then got to think about how I want to structure these particular ones, because I kind of want each test to test a specific thing. Whether or not we sort of go, all right, cool, we'll have in all headers and stuff like that, but I can't pass that from one to the other, and yeah. This one, this one I'll come back to. So in here with the dashboard, what we're going to go is we're going to import, we need to describe stuff, we need to test, and we need the expect. And that's from the, actually that's from the test. Easy done. And Mega Burger, welcome. I hope you're having a good day. Oh, we've just hit an ad break. All right, I'm just gonna go into our very first ad time for a while. So yeah, feels like it's only been a week, but it feels a lot longer. So yeah, it's just, I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of things, and then I won't be streaming Friday. We've got our office party on, and then next week, hopefully Monday, Wednesday, Friday again. So yeah, all things considered, and hopefully there'll be longer streams too, because I'll be on holidays. Yeah. But yeah, I do want to get the design out the door and get feedback. It's, once again, it's not going to be the final, it's going to get feedback, we're going to iterate on it, but I kind of want to get this mock set up. So when I go to do a refactor NearBeach, I know how everything's going to be set up, and I can quickly set everything up. So yeah. All right, we've got about 15 seconds worth of the ads left. Not too many. So yeah. For those on YouTube, also, we run ads on Twitch. That's just to stop the pre-rolled ads, which suck. So yeah, anyway, welcome back everyone. We're getting back into it. So we're going to import. Now this is the dashboard page. From the dashboard page, we just need to test that it renders out fine. We're going to do something like that, and then we go test, and we're just going to say mount component. We're making sure it's async and all that kind of fun stuff, and then this should be dashboard page exists. So expect dashboard page to be truthy. Easy done. And that's almost it. We're just gonna write that .view there, and that's it. Cool, easy. Another thing, I just want to bring this one over, because you can see I've got the tests and I like mount component. The test should be like test, and in this sort of case, wrapper to do. What I want to do is I kind of want to write in the test what I'm exactly testing, so when people actually look at this, they're like, all right, cool, this is what they're actually testing. And G Bowen, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Welcome back. It's been a very busy time for me at the moment, so yeah. Now, we've got two tests here, and I really want to split them up into two separate sort of tests, but they use the same sort of components. Alright, let's just go on to here. Make sure there is only one heading. And then what we want to do is we want the async sort of stuff. Go const all headings equals, and this, oh, we need to define the wrapper. And this is where, oh, I didn't realize to do that. Actually, I'm going to undo that. I'm just going to grab those two lines. We're going to paste them up there. We're going to do that. We could do something like this, where we sort of, anything that we're going to use within these tests will exist out there. Whoops, that's me just doing all that. Been pretty long few weeks, yes. Yeah. You're about as good as it gets. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I understand it. It's the end of the year. It's rush time. So I could easily do that out there where we mount the wrapper. And what I could do is I could do that at the very, very top where we'll be using that constantly. We can then run the tests like this, and then we do all the headings, and then we want to do that. And then we're like, sweet. Then what we want to do, test, make sure we have landed on the correct not found page. Sure, I don't know why I have it like that. Let's just do cool. Now we'll probably go const heading equals wrapper.find, and then we just pick the first one. That's perfectly fine. And then we want to expect the heading.text to be 404 not found. And I think that's probably a better way of how I should structure the tests. Just because we can see the test and be like, all right, cool, this is exactly what this is doing, and so forth like that. And we just do the setup at the top for anything that we're going to use, for example, the wrapper. All right, so over here, I'm just going to open up a new tab. We're going to go npm run test unit. It's going to do all of that. Yeah, end of the year, beginning of the year is always slow. Yeah. Yeah, it does get like that sometimes. I'm not complaining. Not gonna lie. I've been catching up on little tiny tasks, which I've been writing down, being like, all right, cool, I'll get that handled, I'll get that handled, I'll get that handled. And I've been doing it in the last couple of days. I'm like, yes, all right, cool. All these things I wanted done are done. All right, so the reason why I've split those up there like that, so we're gonna find the not found in here. So we've got the not found, as you see, it's all sort of grouped up. If I wanted to have a secondary described, I can do that. I'm adding in that flexibility. But if we open up this over here, and I'll zoom in so you guys can actually see, we've got the not found, we've got the mount component. So we're like, all right, that's testing the mounting of the component. We'll then make sure that there is only one heading. All right, cool. And then make sure that we have landed on the correct. All right, cool. So we don't, before we didn't have those two in there. It was just, yeah, not found. And then we had that, and yeah, it didn't work how we wanted it to. We kind of want all this list to actually happen. So if an error happens, we can be like, oh, cool, sweet. I can then jump to that test. And this is what we expect. Now, I will need to actually do these. So, when I say do these, I mean, I've got to go in and, what was I thinking of? I've got to go in and implement translations later on and so forth like that. So, yeah. That's going to be a bit bit trickier to do. But I'll read the documentation on how to do that. I think I just got to check that the language is there and that everything is met. We'll figure that out at a later date. Oh, also talking about languages and all that kind of stuff, I've decided to use the Vue i18n library. The reason being is we do actually have a case where we might need to translate words like project, task, and so forth like that, and have variables within the instructions themselves. So yeah, that's why. There are a couple of things that I do need to implement. So one of them is to make all the warnings silent. That's just because of how we're going to set up this. So yeah, the idea being is we will be splitting up the files themselves into something like this. It will be something like this, where it sort of matches. It's got the component name, then we've got a dot, and then we've got the language, and then we've got what we have, and so forth like that. So be very, very similar to that. We'll have fallback English within here itself. So instead of it like that, we can then do hello world like that. And thus, when we can actually then remove this, like so. This is all building, I think. Yeah, this is still building. Oh, I've got to quit that. We'll just go over here. We'll just hit refresh. I'm just refreshing it. And there we go. It'll fall back onto that. However, if we go onto the console, import. I've got to fix that up very, very quickly. Give me 2 seconds. That would be. Oops, sorry, that was very loud. Just gonna refresh. There you go. As you can see, all this not found hello world key in the and it can't find the hello world in the English. I think I've set it to, if I go index and I go in here. Yeah, can't find that, but I need to escape it out of it if it, yeah, do if locale that, and then we'll do something like that. And then if I reload, yeah, we don't have any sort of warnings or anything like that. But we do have this little warning here that we need to silence. Because the hello world key, yeah, isn't in the en locale, but it is on the template itself as a fallback variable. And I don't know how to tell the system, hey, this isn't set, just use the fallbacks. So yeah, we're just going to silence those. There's also a bit of on mount sort of stuff going on. I don't know if I can, yeah, if I change things every single time, the on mount will fill that out, and I've got to figure out if there's a better way of doing this. Hopefully there is. So yeah, it's hard getting rid of every single error and so forth like that. Yeah, it's also working around any sort of limitations that I've got, and making sure that the system runs fast and looks a lot better. So yeah, Got started making on docs in different languages. Oh, nice. So yeah, that's the other thing is once we actually sort of get this sort of translated, we want to sort of also at the same time update our documentation to reflect different languages. So yeah. So at the moment, I'm only targeting English and Japanese, and the reason being is, well, one, I'm trying to learn Japanese, but also, two, I've got a friend who speaks Japanese, so I can get recommendations off him. So yeah, he can always glance at the stuff and be like, phrase it this way. So yeah. All right. Let's get back into the new project and how this will look. So I want to have recommendation on font sizes and stuff like that. So one thing I want to do is I want to move to RAM so we can set the base, and then everything from there should move up and down from that. I did have a couple of reads the other day. So on mobile, yeah, page title will probably end up going at the upper end of a lot of these sizes and so forth like that. So to RAM. We'll also use something like this today. So if we've got something like this saying 40 pixels, we've got 2.5. Okay, and we're like, all right, sweet. That's what we're going to do. All right, cool. I found having documentation specifically for developers' purposes the most helpful. Yeah. And API docs. Yes. Yeah. So at NearBeach, we have set up Swagger for the documentation, for the APIs, and stuff like that. This is just version 0. There will be a couple of API changes for version 1. So, yeah. And Manish Dad Sina, how are you? Hopefully going well. Hello, I'm new here. Could you tell me a little detail about what I'm doing? So I've been working on an open source project management system called NearBeach. We've wrapped up 0.31. So it's at a stable state. We're going to support it in that sort of state for a little while. However, we want to, at the same time, sort of get rid of a lot of the technical debt. We also are redesigning it, the UI, and we're applying what we have learnt over the years. So yeah, the big one is get rid of the technical debt and also make it look nice and feel nice so people start using it. So one of the problems I felt it had was the fact that it was hard to start a new project or a new task because you have to fill out so many fields just to start it. It was unclear if things auto-saved and so forth like that. The UI was terrible. So yeah, we're revamping it. Tech debt is a thing that, yeah, and yeah. With the 0.32 will be pretty much removing a lot of technical debt from the database design. We will be sort of streamlining a lot of things, and yeah. But today we're focusing on at least finishing up this mock-up. We'll also have to do the mock-up for, we'll do a project 1. So we don't have project 1 at the moment, but what we'll do is we'll do project 1 where we'll mock this up to how we kind of want to make it look like. Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to minimize everything. Let's focus on font sizes and stuff like that. The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure I am using font sizes everywhere. And that's the problem. So One thing I could potentially do, actually there's two things I could potentially do. We have, under the source, under the assets, we've got the CSS. I want to move that for starters. I think that's actually a horrible place to put it. I'm going to go add in a directory called styles. And all of these are getting moved into the styles. We're just going to refactor them into there. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to then delete that. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to keep the fonts in there. So the assets will be the static files. Is done. And what we want to do with the styles, I'm going to... We've got our main where we could put our font sizes and so forth like that in here. So that's one solution. And what that will do is that will cover everything, because this will be at the top of the styling sheet. And then if we need any sort of different font sizes, which can happen for anything, we can then do that at the component level, where that will override this. I wouldn't mind doing that. The other thing we could potentially do is we've got variables, and we can key in a couple more variables in here, much like we've done with the border sort of stuff. So we've just got one place to change all this border stuff. We could do that and then apply that everywhere. That way I've just got one place to make those changes. However, that means I've got to declare everywhere. So I'm going to lean back on to just doing this. So we've got a H1, we're going to have font size, and we said 2.5 rem. Now that's for mobile phone. If we actually have a look at this style, now that they said 40 there, if we actually had a look at the style guide here, the desktop's different, which kind of makes sense. And they've got, 125. So we have to, in here, go, it's, no, sorry. Oh, I forgot already. Media. So, I'm just gonna do this. We'll have, for example, we want a particular size for that. This just has mobile and desktop. I'm gonna say, I'm trying to remember the screen sizes that I did. So we've got the variables. These are all in here. The border width and stuff like that. Media variables is what we also have. I might create a directory called variables. Oops, not variables, because there's multiple in there. And what we want to do is rename that. Variables, cool. We're going to drag and drop those in there as a refactor. Everything should refactor, and then instead of variables, I kind of want to I want to rename that. I'm going to say general variables, and then later on I might split that up, and so forth like that. And Mega Burger, what ID is this? This is PyCharm. Because NearBeach is open source, we actually get PyCharm for free. So yeah, that's just full disclosure with that. In fact, this library is open source. What I'm working on right now is open source. You can actually go and view what I'm doing. So if you go to github.com, robotic head, and then new design mockup, it should be open. If it isn't, I will quickly change that. Yep, it's open. There it is. So yeah, you can jump in and actually view the code of this. So yeah. All right, I'm going to close that. Readability, small text, all right, cool. So, getting back to this, on mobile phone, we want 2.4. Anything larger than a tablet, we want to do something different. So I'm going to close that. Now, mobile phone screens will have a smaller size than that. Small screens will have a size of 640 or larger. Medium screens, I think if I need to write more information in there. Let's do this. Let's click on this. Let's do, I think I have iPad in here, 810. So, medium screens are that, 810. Large screens, all right, cool. I am just going to say putting this information in here for me. Small screens are considered mobile phones. Medium screens are considered tablets. Large screens are considered laptops. And then etc. I think from there we can figure it out, but I'm just putting that information in there so later on, if I ever need to look it up again, it's there. Whoops. Now that would be, this is media variables, so it will be a var, and we kind of want to do this on a large screen. I'm just going to paste what I pasted in. Just double checking. Oh, I don't need the var. All right, not a problem. Oops. There we go. Then we just go font size. We are just going to go 3 rem here. We can tweak it. That's fine. I'm not too fussed about that. Now it's importing. These no longer exist there. So what I need to do at import, this will be variables, and then this will be the media variables. Not media queries. Media variables. All right, cool. So that should now work. If I just double click on one of those, I think it's always going to have a problem like that, but I'm not too fussed. I do believe this will still compile. There we go. Still compiles. We're all happy. We're just going to set up it for everyone else. So font size. And this is where I'm going to continue reading that documentation. So, font size guidelines. So we've got default body text. I'm going to go 20 pixels for everything. Yeah, I just want to look at something. Tailwind CSS. Font sizes. What I'm doing, I'm having a look at what they're using. So they're using 3XL for that font, which is, if we have a look, 3XL, I've gone right past it, XL, font size, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. It's not as big as what I thought. Oh, we're gonna fix all of this. All right, cool, not a problem. I'll fix that up in a minute. I'm just gonna delete that. We're gonna play, once again, we're playing around with this until we get it how we want it to. We're just gonna run that. I need to take a couple of seconds. So, new design mockup, assets, CS media variables. Media variables. All right. That's part of. I'm just gonna delete that. Nav menu item. There's no quick way of getting to it. All right. This is where I go into the components. I go into the nav. I've got to break these down into folders. Nav menu item. I'm also going to put up here nav menu item dot view. And that's just so if I search nav menu item, I can quickly get to it a lot quicker. That's all. In fact, oops. Should do that. All right, cool. Now we've just hit an ad break. For those on YouTube, we run ads every half an hour. On Twitch, that's just to stop the pre-rolled ads. Don't worry, you don't get them. And you can just ramble on about things here. And you guys can ask questions and so forth. So yeah, we'll get them there with this. So yeah, there's quite a lot of changes I want to do. Yeah. And feel free to put in any input or anything like that. That's perfectly fine. This is, once again, this is just a mock-up. When we're mocking up, we want feedback. Currently, we're not happy with how it is. And if you're curious what it looks like at the moment, there we go. I'll also do that on Twitch too. Yeah, so I'm not happy with it yet. I'm hoping to get everything sorted. Yeah, I'm definitely not happy. All right, welcome back everyone. Let's jump back right into it. So we've got a compile issue. What we need to actually do is go through and fix up stuff. We've just been moving stuff around. Of course, we're breaking stuff. So in here, apparently we've broken something. Let's go back here, sorry. DevTools overlay CSS. Undefined nan. All right, cool. No such file open. CSS media variables. All right. Now this is somewhere in the code. We'll get rid of that. Byte config. All right, cool. So yeah, this is definitely, this will be source. This is where we go styles. We then had variables, and then we had media variables. All right, cool. What that's meant to actually do is that's meant to take the media variables and plug them in different places. All right, assets, CSS, main.css. All right, cool. And that's, we've just changed this location. So what we're going to do is that will be styles.main.css. I think that's correct. Yep. All right, we're just redoing that. Which reminds me, gotta make sure I'm pushing that linter. Right. Cool. Let's reload the page. Now we've definitely broken something. That's perfectly fine. We've horribly broken something. Holy hell. Alright, cool. Hot pink is bad. So, we've got the main class. And then we've got the card and all that kind of stuff. But the main itself needs to have... I'm just going to close all tabs. I'm going to open up main. We've got the... Ooh, we don't have in here accessibility, CSS, or anything like that. So we need to import variables dot media variables dot oh, for fuck's sakes. You think tab would fill that out? Alright, let's looks like you no, I'm not gonna like it. Alright. I'm just gonna see what we had last time before I made these changes. So this is the new design mockup. This will be the source. This is where we store it. I had it stored under here, and I did not like it at all. We've got the main in here. Okay, we kind of had it like that, yeah. But that doesn't work because once again, we've got a directory. I don't think that works either. I'm just gonna do that. It's running. It's running. No, no such file or directory. I think I've got a. All right, let's just do this. Oh yeah, we had media variables. Oh, general variables. All right, tab doesn't work half the times. Okay, cool. It's running. There we go. All right, cool. Yeah, I just needed to fiddle around, figure out what I needed, and yeah, it was variables, which we changed to general variables. All is good. So this is all working now. We've got the large screen. So if I go back over here, we've got this in here. If we inspect this, this should actually be, we've got to go through and get rid of font size everywhere. So I'm happy with it being under the main. If we do this, and we go into font sizes, we'll file mask everything what we want, and it's in the project. Essentially the label, yeah, we want to get rid of that. Line height, ooh, yeah, I should be controlling. Okay, so, just realized. Line height needs to be in here too. Line height. I think that's a good enough line height. Yeah, I think that's good enough. All right, cool. Sweet. So let's go back to the font size with the nav component. All right, the nav component, this is all of this up here, the line height and all that kind of fun stuff. We do want the override here, but I still want to use REM. So I'm going to translate those from 24 to 1.5 REM. And 32, it's going to be a 2. All right, cool. Yeah, I want control and override for these. So that's all. Let's also go, yep, this one, font size with the header of 1. This is for the card header. I'm just going to get rid of that. And as you see, that's quite large. We'll have a play around with this. We'll see what we can do. Oh, sorry, I was meant to do that. So we've got the 14 pixels for the P's. We're going to get rid of that. We've got the 18 on the smaller screens. Now this is for the nav component. This is the navbar settings. Alright, navbar setting list. I'm just going to remind myself where that is by just pasting that in. That's that section there. Alright. Now 18 should be, yeah, 111. Alright, cool. Gonna change that. 1.125 rem. And that, I think we had it at 24. I did, yeah, 24. It should be 1.5 rem. So we're gonna keep those once again because we want those to be overridden. Easy done. Everyone's happy with that. So what I want to actually do now is, I think that's all the font sizes that we need to worry about. Now we can start tweaking stuff. All right. I also need different sizes for the different headers. So, yeah, we want to use as few sizes as possible. So page title we want as big as possible, which, yep, all right, sure. Secondary text, 2 pixels smaller than the default. I'm just thinking, how many headers are we going to use? At the moment in the main, we've accounted for all 6 of them. I'll do header 2. In here, font size, we'll probably do 2 rem for the moment. We'll do the line height being 2.25 rem. And then with the media, oops, I can't type. The media and GitHub name, robotic head. And then large screen. We'll go the font size. So we went down, all right, we'll do 2.5 rem. Line height is going to be 2.75 rem. Easy done. I'm not going to worry about the other ones at the moment, but I am going to jump straight to P. So the font size for this now, they're saying on mobile, we're going with the upper limit at the moment. So 1.25. And then the line height, we should do something like that. I'm going to put 5 at the moment. Once again, we'll play around with all of these. We're just shoving them all in. Large screen, we'll then do font size, and this will be 1 rem, and then the line height will be 1.25. So yeah. All right, cool. That should compile within next to nothing. If we go over here, we're going to go refresh. We've got this. I want to jump down onto mobile phone first. So this is the smallest we will support, the iPhone 7. Some things, yeah, I don't like that. Don't like how it's wrapping. Oops, I was meant to actually go inspect. So we've got the I don't like that at all. We've also got a problem that we've got too much padding on the mobile version. So I'm going to handle that. We should also deal with the main. Okay, so I've got a couple of ideas. Let's implement them. One, on the mobile, it doesn't make sense having this card be rounded because it's going to take up the whole entire thing. If we have a look at, let's say, login, Tailwind, login forms. And let's just scale that down. Right, that's not a good example. I'm trying to find one that's in a card. There we go. This one's in a card. So as we scale down, notice how it expands out automatically. We're going to do that too. Also, at the same time, I think the borders, yeah, the border's squared up. So we want to do that too. So another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this margin at the top, make it more connected. So yeah, let's just close all for the moment. We're going to minimize everything here. We're going to open up the new design. We're going to go into the source. We're going to go into the components, and this is where we're styling. We style the components in line. We want to do with the main, that would be the app itself. So yeah, here we are. So in the app, ooh, I'm also wanting to get rid of any pixels. Except when we need ultra precision. That's all. That's the only time we need it. Padding top, I'm going to say that's ultra precision. We won't worry about that. But what we do want to do is we want to go at media and then we're going to say large screen for the moment. We're just going to paste it in. We're all happy with that. That should do that. All right, cool. And there we go. So that's connected up to the top. And then we still do have a little bit of padding. That's perfectly fine. We can tweak that easily for mobile, but you'll notice that they're all in rems too. I might be moving everything into rem slowly. All right, not a problem. What I want to do is I want to go to the card now. Actually, I want to see what this looks like on a tablet first. So if we go iPad. Yeah, okay. If we switch it, boom. All right, cool. No, I'm happy with that. Okay. And we can adjust the padding depending if it's a small screen or larger. So I want to go into, now this is part of the render part, so this is part of a card. This will be part of the card component, I think. So we've got padding in there like that. What we want to do is we want to go at media. We're going to go, so a small screen is essentially mobile, and then we'll have, I'm just going to have to bring up those styles again just for media variables. Yeah, so small screen will be the mobile, and medium screen are considered the tablet. So we'll start off with the medium screen. And then what we want to do is we'll do padding. We'll do 0.5 REM, and then yeah, 1 REM. See how that is? And then at media, large screen. That's where I'm just going to borrow this. Just going to paste it in. We're all fine with that. We're going to have a look at this now. So if I hit refresh, I'll get rid of that. That doesn't quite align in there, but we'll fix that up. Don't worry, we're going to do the mobile phone first. So, as you see, everything's now crushed together. We've still got a problem with this. Being just a little too large. I think that will be a little bit better. That's fine. So, opening up the main once again. I should keep this open and not close it. So, with this, we've decided to go down to 2 and 1.25 REM. We'll come back to those. Don't you worry. We might also step up the sizes and so forth like that as we go along. I've also got to take into consideration translations, because if something gets translated, it might end up smaller or quite a lot larger than the original character size of the English version. So I've got to take into consideration that. So yeah, I don't want that too large. Fill in the detail. All right, cool. I think that is a P. That should be 1.25. All right, cool. Now we've got to do the padding. So I'm going to go back to the card component, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go padding, and we're going to do 0. I'm going to go 25 REM. Like so. I'm going to, I think that's good. Just brings everything just that bit off the edge, which is what we want. All right, cool, sweet. Now, I do see a little bit of a problem, and it has to deal with this card project at the bottom. We do want to actually add in a little bit more space down there, and I think things aren't lining up properly just because we've got the card component. I think I'm doing quite a bit of precision stuff in there. I'm gonna have to fix that up in a second. So we'll have the card header. Yeah, we'll have the font weight as bolder, but in fact, I'm just wondering if we can get away with just plain old bold. I think plain old bold will be perfectly fine. That might actually then not belong there. That might actually be a global one. So I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to go up here, and we are going to paste that in up there. We're also going to do that there. I feel like that's going to beat path, we're fine. So we want to go back down to the card header. We no longer need this in there because that's at the top CSS. The card header, margin, border radius, this. Yeah, we do something special with this. Alright, cool. So, what I want to do, font weight lighter. That just makes sense. Oh, no, it doesn't make sense. Sorry. Because, yeah, it's for this section here. Yeah, we should also be able to do that. Oh, God. Alright. So I still want to keep that. And what I want to do is I want to go... large screen. Like that. And then we want border radius. It's going to be 0. Might not need that. I'm just going to hit refresh. No, the border radius is still there. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, that's on the card header. All right, cool. We need to also do it on the footer. So, yeah, we're just focusing on the header at the moment. But yeah, something's not lining up. We'll get to that. Alright, so I style that out. I should have ESLint config. Alright, cool. This should actually be in source. Is this in source? Yeah, it is. Sorry, I've just added something random band. ESLint, yeah, that's in source. Because I know I got something on this local where I can get it linting like that, but I don't have it on my Mac. That's a different thing. I know I did something not that long ago. I probably haven't pushed that to source, so it's just get ignored. Sorry about that. That was came out of nowhere. All right. Editor config. Cancel. All right. That's not. Yeah. All right. I'll get back into this. It's a different problem for a different time. So we're going to go back into here. I know that there's something that's not matching up. All of that should be, probably something. Something in here is just not settling. Because we also got the, I think it has something to do with, if we go into the app, yeah, we've got the padding top and all, but that's for a large screen. We've got a small screen, margin left. I don't think that's it. All right, we'll get back into this. All right, so we've got the card component. We've set up the REMs. We've got the card header. We've set up the border radius properly. We might need to deal with those. Oh, we have an ad break in progress. I'm sorry, I'm going to be right back. I think it's on here. I'll be right back. I just need to go to the bathroom very, very quickly, so it won't be long. Alright, sorry about that. And welcome back, everyone. And let's turn off the be right back because I am back. Alright, that was good timing. So, what I want to do, I've got to double check these margins. So, the card header. I forgot why I had these margins in place. If we have a look at the card header, yeah, I don't know why I had them in. I mean, that padding on the P needs to be adjusted, but that's fine. It might be a large screen problem. So I'm just going to delete those. They're going to go into there. We'll have a look on the large screen. Yeah, don't know why. Not a problem. That sort of works. The P, that does need to definitely have some padding changed. So the P, let's go, margin. Yeah, it's the margin. So the top, yeah, all right, cool. That, let's do 0 REM for that, and let's do 2 REM, maybe 3 3 rem for the bottom. I like that. All right, cool. Let's put that in margin. What was it? It was 0.5, 0.5 rem, 0, 3 rem, and then 0 again, like so. I think I've got to do that. Oh, no, I don't. All right, cool. Let's just hit reload. Reloads everything in. Cool, done, perfect. I'm happy with that. We'll probably pick better fonts in a second. We've still got that happening, but we'll fix that up in a second. All right, so we've done the header, got the component. So we're happy with the component. Got the card header. Oh yeah, the component itself, that will have a slot come through. All right, cool, we don't need to worry about any of that. Yeah, it's the footer now that we're worried about. All right, straight away at media, and then we go large screen. And then up here, we'll figure out what the padding and all that kind of stuff we want. So down here, you'll notice that we've got the card footer. We're just passing through a slot. Easy done. We're happy with all of that padding coming from the card component. We just need the bottom filled out a little bit more. So with the card, that one, we can do padding. We can do one at REM, 0, 1 REM. Oh, let's do that. I don't like it. Just don't like it. All right, not a problem. We'll go 0, 0, 1 REM, 0. That's a bit better. Like that. This is us just tweaking stuff at the moment. So padding, we're going 0, 0, 0.75 REM, and 0. You don't need any margins or anything like that. I'm just going to reload the screen. We no longer have the problem that we had before. Sweet. We can type in the title and all that kind of stuff. We do need to fix up this. That we will do in a second. I'm probably going to pick proper fonts for this. So we're going to go back into this article and be like, all right, cool. Mobile and desktop, we're happy with those. Default size 15, yep. Interaction heavy design, optimized for info display. All right, cool. So then my best rule of thumb, start with size 17 and adjust from there. If you need to display more information in mobile widths, all right, cool, yep. Yep, all right. Body text, menus, list, all right, cool. Default sizes should be used as best as possible. Yep. So in here, when we click on this, yep, cool. Going in here, text input size should be at least 16 pixels. All right, this is important. Yet we will definitely be keeping that. If your text has smaller fonts than ISO browser, we'll zoom on the left hand. Oh, yeah. All right, secondary text should be 2 sizes smaller than your paragraph text. All right, cool. Yep. Always view designs on actual devices, which is what we'll do. Be familiar with iOS and Android standards. Yep. iOS default font is 17 pixels, FF Pro, and secondary font sizes is 15. All right, cool. Yep. Material design is 6. All right, cool. Interaction with labels. Yep. All right, so they've dropped everything down to 13. Once again, we can tweak all of this how we want it to. All right, another thing I wanted to have a look at is font recommendations for headings versus paragraphs. So I want to set up this I'll zoom in so you can read. So serif fonts are a common option for classic traditional design since they contain little lines, flourishes at the end of the letters. They are ideal to piss off for formal or serious content since they are great. All right, cool. Sans serif. And what we could potentially do is we could look at something like this and we can go inspect on that. I'm just going to have a look at the computer stuff, don't mind me. I'll read out the font family. The font family is intervariable, system UI, sans serif. And yeah, that's sans serif and so forth like that. We do actually have a font in our assets folder, and it's Open Sans. We'll probably end up using that. All right, main CSS, what we want to do. That's where I need to just do this. Static blue. All right, cool. Image URL, blah, blah, blah. Get on with that equals. All right, cool. All right. Just quickly read a quick document. All right, make directory, asset fonts. Yep, we've done that. The purpose of the Rubik Scribble. Ooh, I don't mind that one. Oh, actually, no, there's the font there. All right, no, I definitely don't want to use that one. As described at font face, say a custom font. All right, cool. So at font face, that's what we want. And we're going to do it like here. We are going to get rid of all of that, and we're going to do the @ symbol, and then we're going to go assets, and then we're going to go fonts, and then not the Rubik Scribble. It will be. Now we've got this as a medium, and I'm just wondering how big that file is again. .131 kilobytes, so it is quite hefty. Yeah, it is quite hefty. We've got a number of them in here. like it. I do like the font, I really do. I'm actually going to move this one to trash. I'm going to keep it like this. And that's the variable fonts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no. I'll we'll go to the Google fonts. Just give me 2 seconds. So fonts.google. What was that one called again? That was the Open Sans. So I just want Open Sans. Coming soon. Alright. I noticed that I've got 3 in my cart. I'm just going to get rid of some of them. Alright, so we've got the Open Sans. This is the preview. We're going to click on the cart, and what we can do no. It's variable, isn't it? I'm just seeing change styles. There we go. So Roman weight. We'll use we could change the width. Oh, that's neat. What if we want multiple? Oh, okay. I see what. Alright, cool. I thought I could. Alright, I can't do what I'm thinking of. Don't worry, no problem. We're going to go into here. We're going to keep this folder sort of structure and stuff like that. We want asset fonts. We want Open Sans. From there, we want the static. And this will be called font family local. No, let's go back to the fonts. Let's click on that. Let's get the embedded code. And essentially, I'm just going to copy this. That's perfectly fine. We're just going to paste that in. But then we need to install the other things and all that kind of fun stuff. Oh, shoot. All right. Which means I've got to use one of. All right, let's figure this out. So assets, fonts, Open Sans. So we've got variable font in here. It is 0.5 MB though. That's what annoys me the most. Okay. The instant I have 2 different fonts. All right, let's go searching for another font. That's fine. Let's go fonts. Let's not worry about the language or anything like that. This will be for business. This will be a part of the sans serif. Can do traditional. Don't mind newsreader. Don't mind that. Alright, don't mind that. Seasonal, no, we don't need seasonal. Technology, none. Alright, cool. There's this one. Alright, we'll get the font. We'll still search for more fonts. Get that font too. I also like Roboto. Alright, I should do this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. If we download all, I'm just going to put it in the downloads folder. That's perfectly fine. Get rid of it later. Some are quite large. We're going to extract all of them into the downloads. That's perfectly fine. Show the files. We'll just close this. I should have done this a little bit smarter. Alright, I'm going to do new folder. I'm just going to go write fonts. Easy done. I think the Calsan was one of them. We'll quickly remind ourselves. Calsan, Grupo, Open Sans, Roboto, Calsans, Alright, cool. So we've got 4 in there. So, Roboto, variable font, it's still half a megabyte and stuff like that, but if we use it for the basic sort of stuff, we are just going to use, one of these, which will be a lot smaller. I don't think thin will work. I think regular would work. We just need regular. So Roboto, not semi, we're not thin. This will be regular. I think this for most of our text, I think will be great. All right. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to open up a new window, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into the fonts and we're going to paste them in. So we want sites, we want the new NearBeach design, we want the source, we want assets, we're going to go fonts, and we're just going to paste it in. The Open Sans, I'm just going to move to trash, we don't need it. So, Roboto full of p text and stuff like that. I'm going to write this down. We're just going to delete this. We're going to add in a couple of notes. So, Roboto for the text. We had Grupo, which was also another very, very small one. We're going to just copy that over. So, Grupo. It is actually, now that I look at it, I'm just just going to get the embedded code. With Grupo, it only has one style. All right. It's probably a little too wide. That's what I'm thinking. But that's not a problem. We'll go back to our fonts. We'll just have a look at the fonts once again. So we want business. What I want to have a look at is all right, everyone to that has one style. We don't want that. No. There. I mean, there's Noto stands. There's a global font connection for writing in all modern and ancient languages. All right. It is a variable language. Seconds. I'm just going to do this, echo Noto, cancel, sorry, extract here. All right, show the files. Oh, all right, yeah, that way too large. Way too large. We want something very, very small. All right, not a problem. We're just gonna go fonts once again. They've also got icons here, but we are already using icons. Yeah, we're already using the icons, not a problem. What I'm going to do is we can get rid of this one. It's fine. Roboto regular will have. Do I want to get out of that? I want to go over here. We want to go back into the Roboto. We want to go back into the static, and what we want is thin. So I'm just going to grab this copy. I'm going to paste that over there, and we're happy. Now, Cal Sans I was happy with too, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that over there. So, Roboto thin for thin text, easy done, and Cal Sans for any headers, easy done. So we're just running those as notes at the moment. I'm going to close that. We've got all of those. We're going to close that. We're going to go and customize the fonts. All right, cool. We want to do that. Font face. We've got the assets. Now, what we want to do is with multiple weights. All right, multiple weights, one face font. Alright, so in here I'll do this so you guys can actually read. Actually, there's a special flavor of at font face that to permit just what you're asking. Here's an example of it. So they've got this, so the font size, and then for true type. Alright, cool. URL. Alright, cool. So we essentially just want to do that. Now you can specify, alright, cool. So I'm just going to paste that in, easy done. And what we want to do is we want to actually rename this. And I'm just putting references up here once again. Alright, easy done. What we want to do is roboto in here. TFF, what's TFF again? That's not true type, is it? TTF. Alright, cool, it is. Sweet. Alright, now we want to do at, and then we want to do assets, and then we want to do fonts, and then we want to do roboto. This is going to be regular, font weight normal, font style normal, and we're happy with that. And then what we want to do, roboto, we can grab line 22, like so. We can format this. This will be font style normal. This will be font weight will be thin. Thin. Oh, all right. A bit light, why not? Now, one thing I am missing. That's going to be thin. Oh, it's just going to say normal, isn't it? That's going to annoy the hell out of me. Font weight. Alright, cool. Oh, I will move on. Okay, cool. So we've got the two robotos. Now we've got to do the Kelsan. Which is, I'm just going to copy and paste. It's going to be 10 times easier. Down here, we can get rid of this now. We can do this, and then we can go at assets, easy done, fonts, and then the Cal Sans regular. Oh, we put regular in here. Let's go. Closed it, haven't I? Fonts. I'll do this so you guys can see. What we're actually having a look at is the Cal Sans. We're going to click into it where I'm like, all right, cool. We want to get our font. We're going to use the embedded code just to be like, how are we going to edit this? So regular 400. All right, cool. Cheers, thank you very much. I'm going to struggle with your name, Zhang. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. So yeah. So this is all regular. So this will then be regular. In fact, I think I can just get rid of these. Font style, normal, normal, normal. All right, cool. I think we'll figure out in a minute. So down here, what we want to do, font family is going to be that. We need backups. So it's going to complain, be like, hey, you've only got one in here. Let me insert a generic name in there. And we might actually go sans serif. Actually, kill san. Yeah, it's a self. Yeah, all right, cool. And then what we need is font weight is normal, font style is normal. Yeah, that's all we need. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy all three. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. That's all that. That will pass through all down here. And then I just need to go font family, and then down here, Roboto. And yeah, I do believe that's a sans serif also. So if we go to the Roboto, yeah, that's a sans serif also. And if I go over to my app, boom, cool. This is a lot better now. We can also make this one thin. So we can go normal. Actually, we've got bold, bolder, lighter, normal. This input label. Gonna be a robot. Yeah, but I don't want that font weight. So there's something that's just not working. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go 400 for this with the Roboto thin. I'm going to have a look over here. We're actually going to have a look at the downloads. So I need to go to my downloads, I need to go to my fonts, I need to open up Roboto, I need to open up static, and we're going to have a look. So we've got a bunch of black italic, bold, condensed. We've got extra light. I might drag that across. I'm going to use extra light instead. Don't know why it doesn't like that. Seems to work. If we go onto here, font weight. Bold, inherit, normal. How much difference is there? All right, Roboto, variable, change styles. So italics, full axes, weight, full axes, one value. That's regular. It doesn't go down. Thin. And then regular. Alright, cool. Extra light's 200. Alright, cool. Cool. We'll go back to thin. We'll have that as 100. We've got this regular. Should be 400. All right, cool. What's your thoughts on vibe coding tools though? it's a tool. It's a tool. Don't rely on it. If you want to program yourself, you've got to put in the work. It's great for boilerplate and stuff like that, but remember, it always hallucinates. And if you're getting it to code, you're not coding. Things will break, and you just won't understand what's going on. It also trips up if you get more and more complicated stuff. So yeah, it's a good place to start learning stuff because you can get it to sort of mock out something very, very quickly. But getting those sort of different components moving together, that's what you've got to do. So this P, I've got this as lighter. If I go back to 400, boom, all right, cool. And that should be normal. Sweet. So yeah, I just mucked up setting that up. Not a problem. If I go lighter, normal, lighter, normal, lighter, normal, lighter. So in this sort of case, we're keeping the lighter, and then we'll have the normal for the titles. And then we'll probably deal with those in a second. So I like the font choices here. I'm going to clean up the extra thin, or the extra light, sorry, because I really like the thin in there. There's a big difference. You do have a Discord. I won't be able to look at it at the moment, but you're more than welcome to put it in our project section of our Discord. Once Nightbot wakes up, there we go. Alright, so we've got create your new project. Now, I'm going to go back to this font sizes, because now that we've picked the font, we can sort of tweak this font size again. We do 2.5, a little too big, doesn't quite work. But if we do 2.25, fits in there pretty well. However, that being said, we've got a lot of other problems, like, for example, if we use something like this and we're like, all right, cool, instead of create, we'll have your task. Yeah, that fits perfectly fine. But if we do requirement, boom, we've got 2 lines again. Now I can be clever with this in the sense of the design. I can add in like a sort of icon of the carriage return and then have the object down on the second line, and I think that will work. This doesn't look that bad. But that being said, we're gonna also have problems if we do it at a 2 rem. I might get people's opinions about this. I won't change the font size at the moment. I'll keep it like that. And definitely get people's opinion around this. Alright, so I'm happy with that. If we now move down here, all of these labels, I'm just having a quick look at the computed. We don't actually have anything in there. Alright, cool. We need to also specify what the labels are going to be. And we want to do that at the main CSS, at a global sort of position. So if we go label, we go into here, we can do the font size is going to be 1 rem. Stocks actually, I just realized what we could potentially do is very similar to how we've done this up here. It's essentially the same sort of data. The same sort of layout and stuff like that. So we've got it like that. We've got that. I'm happy with that. We kind of want this error to be a little bit different. I put it down at the bottom, haven't I? Yeah, I did that purposely. That needs a bit of changing. a little bit of tweaking, but that's perfectly fine. We've got the size down here. The input, we did read this just a little while ago. Line height 24, but we want that to be a little bit bigger. Now they did have it in here. At least size 16. We're probably going to go, yeah. I don't know. And welcome, Pollock. Welcome. How are you going? Hopefully going well. I don't know if I want to copy the same font as that. I'll tell you what, it's a quick, we just put it in here and we just go input and we see what it looks like. So we go back over here, we go in here, I'm just going to refresh the page. We then click on this and we start typing things in. I mean, sure, it looks fine. I want to see what happens if we make it a little bit bigger. So we're just going to go down here and we're going to say, all right, cool, anything with an input. Font family, Roboto. However, we want font size to be 1.5 rem. Ooh, different. Slightly different. So the line height itself is going to be 1.75 rem. And then we have a look into here and we're like, oh, all right. So it's slightly bigger, which kind of implies to the user that that is more important. You're going, good, what kind of systems are you building? So I've built an open source project management system called NearBeach. We're currently redesigning it. We're getting rid of a lot of technical debt. And I'm applying a lot of stuff that I have learnt over the many years now. So yeah, we drew a line in the sand, technical debt was piling up and I was like, listen, I want to do a massive refactor. So yeah, here we are, massive refactor time. So yeah, I'm actually going to change the line height. I'm going to say 2 rem. Let's see. Oh, that doesn't do much in here, but also at the same time, I want to change the padding for the input. We're going to do 1 rem for everything. We're going to scale this down, of course. We're over-exaggerating this at the moment. So as you see, yeah, that doesn't work that well. .5 rem. Surprisingly works. Yeah, that works. All right, cool. I'm going to keep that. NearBeach, it's been around many years now. I think it'll be 9 in. Just wait. We can find out. I have the party hat, NearBeach birthday. Yeah, it'll be 9 next month. But the thing is, back in August 2020, I decided to delete 95% of the code. Should have been 100%. And I decided to refactor it. Or rewrite it, in fact. I'm refactoring it now. So, yeah. Alright. What I'm going to do is padding for the inputs. Padding, we're going to do 0.5 rem. I think that's a good sort of size. The line height I'm going to bring back down to the 1.75. Yeah, that works. I'm gonna have to get someone's input on that, if that looks natural or not. I'm gonna actually I'm going to check something like this. So let's have a look here. I'm going to inspect this. I can tell you from the computed side of things, the font size is 14 pixels. And if I do this one, I can tell you that the font size is 16 pixels. So yeah, they've got it slightly bigger. So yeah, all right, cool. We'll keep it like that. He's done. So that will work for both of those straight off the bat. Now, if you noticed, when we add in the border, the little blue stuff, it moves stuff around. We're going to also fix that too, because I don't like that. I'm going to have to remember how I did that. But I also want this to be a lot thinner. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I migrated to Vue 3 shortly after starting. So yeah, there were a couple of libraries in Vue 2 that I wanted to use that weren't in Vue 3. However, when we migrated, we essentially built our own equivalents. Yeah. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to go into the label field. I want to go into our components. This is part of the render section. I'll probably come up with a better name for this. Why is there an edit config in here? I'm just going to piss that off. Yeah, get rid of it. I am going to also go into, this would be the text input part of things. So this is the text input component. All of this is fine. We're interested in this stuff. So when it's on focus, that's where we put the border width at 2 pixels. I know I did something in the past to mitigate a bit of this. Now the thing is, this is an input. Because we're going to use the inputs in multiple places, some of this might actually end up in the main section. I don't want too much up here though. Yeah, all right, so that's the reason why it's moving out of place, is we're adding in a border width of 2 pixels. Outline none, line height 22 pixels. We're going to get rid of that line height. Outline none. And Nocturnal, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Merry Christmas, it's almost here. The break is almost here. Padding. Once again, we want to get rid of that padding. We want to get rid of that line height because it should match what we've got upstream. So yeah, that looks really nice. This is the project title. All right. So, has the input down here, render error message. It's part of an error message. All right, cool. We want to go into the render error message. That goes all the way through here. So we've got the circle. We've got that as size 14, which is why it doesn't line up. However, that being said, we've got the line height as that. We've got that as that. You're okay? Okay, that's good to hear. You're looking forward to the break? Yes, me too. Me too. I'm hoping to get most of this design done before Christmas so I can hand it out and be like, all right, cool, everyone, I need hints. I need someone to help me. So, yeah. We've chosen the fonts. We're now just doing all the spacing and all that kind of stuff. I'm not worried about colors. And then Yeah, it's just spacing everything out. Okay, so what I want to do is I want this thing to be thin for starters. So I want the font family to be Roboto, and then I want the font weight to be lighter, like so. And then I want the font size to be just that little bit smaller. And this is where we'll actually put this in here. So we've got the color, we're happy with it. The line height, we're happy with the line height. We're going to do font weight is going to be lighter. We're going to do font family is going to, oh, we've got these as variables. All right. That's not a problem. Oh, we don't have these. Yeah, we don't have that as a variable. All right, cool. Not a problem. I'll just get rid of it. Easy done. Roboto sans serif. Actually, I don't need to do that because it's implied by default. I'm going to lint this very, very quickly. So we'll have the font lighter and then the font size, and this is going to be 1 rem. Oops, and then at media, large screen, font size, and that's going to be 0.75 rem, because on a larger screen it's going to be 1. We want this text to be just that tiny bit smaller. So if we go back over here, we can see it like this now. So if I go in and I just type in something like that, that's looking a lot nicer. I think it marries up with the field really well. I need to fix that. It might be a focus thing that I've got to do. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick focus thing. So, this will be part of this. So we're going to do input focus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write padding. It's going to be 0. It'll be a calculate. It will be a 0.5 rem minus 1 pixel. And how is the progress so far? Where's your cat? Socks isn't here at the moment. She's I had a couple of people stay over for the week, so she is somewhere else at the moment. So yeah. And how are you, Dumb Guy Codes? So yeah. From the input, not good. The idea of the focus is to point out what field a user currently has selected, and that's all. And as you can see, I've just fixed that thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this, because it's not needed here, actually up into here. All right, cool. And that's all we needed for that. And if we go into here, refresh this, and then now it's not wanting to do it. Yeah, that's coming through. All right, one way to do this. to do this ridiculously. Now why isn't the border coming through properly? Jeez. Border style, blah, blah, blah. I want the focus. Input focus. Oh, do I have the... Sorry, what I'm doing, I'll put this on the left. No, I read both Twitch and YouTube chats. All right, border color. Why? What? Alright, that's a bit weird. That's very weird. It's not telling me why. I don't like using importance. I definitely don't like using importance. Don't know why it's not working here. Just plain CSS. All right, yeah, I don't know why it's working perfectly fine down here. So if I actually cut that out, I go down here and I just paste that in, it'll work perfectly fine here. I'm probably going to keep it here for the moment then. Now the one problem is if that should then become a variable, just because it could change up here, cause problems and so forth like that. The other thing I could potentially do is, because this is a text input, we do have email inputs and so forth like that that we will program in. We'll have to think where we'll keep this CSS. You know, another thing I should be doing is I should be doing the and dot focus and actually putting those in here. Like so, and then, ta-da, I forgot to put this back to 2. So, and gotta hit refresh. Okay, so that's all in there now. So I'm having a good think. There should be generic sort of stuff. And then, yeah, when we're doing specific stuff, should override it in here. All right, cool. So yeah, I like how that's set up now. That's pretty good. I will, and this is just, so the form group, we've got, I'm gonna give a little bit more weight in, specifically for the mobile phone. We'll see how it looks like on the desktop, and once again we can tweak things and so forth like that. So what I want to do is I want to go to we want form group. We're going to do 1.75 as I typed 6. Get rid of that screen as a sort of weight at the bottom, and I like that. It gives us enough space on the mobile phone. It should, in theory, look good enough. Yeah, all right. That's looking good. If I flip that, yeah, that's still looking good. If I change to an iPad, this is where the 810 stuff, because that's where it starts getting bigger. And all right, let's put it back onto iPad. So one thing I'm seeing is on both sides, we've got a little bit of padding. I don't mind it for an iPad. I tried to get ChatGPT to write a web page with basic HTML and JavaScript for a little side project I'm going to work on over Christmas. It was so painful. Well, fair enough. All right. I'm going to say yes, we're going to have the card do this when it's in this particular mode. What we're also going to do is I'm going to close all other tabs. We're going to open up the card. We're going to open up the card component. So on the medium screen, we've got the padding. Oh, that's with the card. So if I select the card itself, notice how that fits in, and then we have a margin auto on either side. It's the main I want to actually introduce something. So we're going to go into the app. So on a larger screen, we're going to introduce the 20 pixels. I'm going to go, no, let's do that on a medium screen. We're going to go over here. That looks a lot better. So we do have the little edges on each side. We've got a little bit more space to work with now, so I don't need to stretch everything across. Font size, I think, looks fine in this sort of case. Now I'm going to bump that off. We should now be in the large screen format. I'm just double checking that. Yeah, anything larger than 1024. This looks great. And then from here, the sizes don't really change whatsoever. We do have this button though, which sort of smushes stuff. And it might be one of those things that I change. And what I mean is, so on a screen size this wide, what I could potentially do is I could have it so it overlays instead of doing what it does right now. So we've got the nav like this, flex. I think we have it as not flex itself, as in a position. No, not position. I think we got it as in. I'll figure out what we do. All right, with the nav, just going to bring this over here. It's not on the app that we handle it. No. Nav bar open, margin left. Yeah, all right, cool. On anything bigger than a small screen, otherwise padding top. Min height, background color. All right, cool. That's with the main.nav open. That's it. All right, so what I could potentially do is, instead of a small screen, I could move that up to a large screen. I'm just gonna hit refresh, just get rid of all the stuff I've done. Still doing that. Still, be extra large screen, won't it? We could do something like that, where for this size screen, people are like, all right, cool, we just have it overlay. That way everything's in the center, because this is an iPad on its side. And yeah, when we get up to a laptop, no, that's not what I wanted. I'm just gonna edit list. I'm just gonna add in a quick laptop. Okay, we're gonna go laptop. That's where we could do something like that. And I think that might be a better solution. And I kind of like that. Just gonna make sure that icon, yeah, that's fine. Nav component, all right, width, small screen, all right, on a small screen, yeah, we want it like that. Anything bigger than a small screen, we do still want it like that. All right, cool, no, this works. So if we go back down to the iPhone, and we click on this, boom, it just takes over everything. All right, easy done. If we flip it, it'll do that, and it looks horrible because you're on a mobile phone. Flip sideways, doesn't quite work. If we go to an iPad, yeah, it covers all of that. That will be good. It just means that if we load in, we don't want that on anything smaller than a large screen now. Because if you load in and you've got the menu poking over what you want to look at, you're going to get annoyed. So what we've got to do, we've got to quickly fix that. We've also got to update the unit tests around that. Now, if we flip that to there and we reload, that's also going to be like that. But yeah, all right. All right. I'm getting a warning on Sage. All right. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so give me a couple of seconds. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go into the app view. When we actually have it on mounted, if the window size in it is less than this, we toggle. So what we want to do is, now we want to do 1280. We've also got to update our unit tests around this. So we go down into the app spec. So mount component, yep, that's perfectly fine. Mobile view, okay, test mobile view, navbar should close automatically. So yep, that's perfectly fine. We're gonna test this also on a tablet too. And we're going to test to make sure that the navbar is open on a desktop. So I'm just going to read this code again. So scribe mobile view. All right, cool. For each inner width, we're setting the inner width. All right, test mobile navbar should close automatically. Yep. All right. Yeah, we want to copy this. We're going to go tablet view, and we're going to do that. So tablet viewport should close automatically. So we just do all of that. Wrapper, mount, apps, dashboard, and that should be 1080. That's just to check everything is set. And then I want to do that with the desktop version. So we want app. That's spelled wrong. All right, we want desktop view. So we've got all of this. We're gonna go with a 1280 screen. What was the laptop? Yeah, we'll go with that size screen. So we'll just paste that in. We've got to make sure that this is like that. This will be desktop viewport. Navbar should open automatically. Easy done. So yada yada yada. App to be truthy does all that. Header, wrapper, find, H1 to be dashboard, sweet. Nav. Use nav store to really open to be true. All right, that's it. And what we want to do, we want to go over here and then run test, and then we're doing the unit tests. So I just want to quickly make sure all of that still works. Yep, sweet, cool. We're going to close that. We are just going to quit those unit tests. That's fine. We don't need them running in the background. All right, so I'm happy with those changes. I'm actually happy with a lot of this. I'm just double checking the button itself. All right, the button's going to have, if we go to our styles and our main, gonna have the exact same as that. So yeah, so that looks nice. That's all relatively nice. And I like that. I really do like that design. All right, one thing I'm gonna quickly do. I'm going to go over here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna kill that. Oh wait, do I have CI/CD on? I actually think I've got CI/CD on for this one now. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, I thought I had it on. Hold on, give me some more seconds. Did I set this up? No, I've set this up for the marketing site, I think. All right, this is right. All right, cool. Deployment center. No, it's not set up yet. Not a problem. We'll just exit out of that, click on that. Cool. Let's get this set up. So I need to go to SCM, servers.head.scm. We are definitely using the new stuff. Thank you very much. We need to go to the file manager, site, www.root. We're just going to delete that. We're going to delete that, and we're going to keep that one open. What we're going to do, npm run build. This will build a production version. I should have, before we're actually built, I should have deleted the old dist, so I'm just going to move that to the trash. Don't worry, it takes a lot quicker to do than Webpack used to, so that's great news. I just need to drag that up to there. Shoot. Drag that up to there. And I need to drag those assets into there. And then what we have is we'll have robotichead.azurewebsites.net. We've got the projects. Ooh, don't say that. I've got to set this up properly one day. Because the routing doesn't work straight off the bat. So if people go there, wrong window. People go there and then you click on new project, it should bring this up. I think that looks really good. I actually like that. Yeah. And I'll get this all sorted. All right. I'm just definitely going to have to actually test this on mobile phone and so forth like that, but that's looking good. I'm happy with how that's set up. And then of course, create project won't work. Once again, this is just for design. What I also want to do is I want to get the search done, but all of these search pages will just be the dashboard for the moment. The project search will set up. That will also have to set up. The logout will have to set up. All right, I think, yeah, let's do the dashboard next. I'm just going to close all the tabs. That's all fine. What we want to do is we want to go into our source. We want to go into our router. And in here, we've got a bunch of different routes. Cool, sweet and normal. We've got the path projects. That one's doing perfectly fine. So then we've got the children. We've got the search project, do project and project. All right, easy done. The Kanban board. We've got the search Kanban board. But all of these will be search. I'm going to change that to dashboard. Same with all these. Yeah, the reason why I want to change these, I just want the same message across the board. Because we're taking a very horizontal slice. So yeah, we're all happy with that, and then it'll fall back to this. So the idea being is all of these should not fall back onto search. Shoot. All right, project component. Yep, that should work. I'll tell you why. On the wrong thing. There you go. Cool. Done. Refresh. Getting out of that, going to doing that, going to refresh up. Yep, I need to refresh. NPM run. Dead. There we go. Alright. Refresh. There we go. So Kanban, all that apart from project, a new project will work. The idea is someone will fill this out, they click that button, and I'll take them to a mock-up. And then I can do the 404. So I think the card will definitely work for the dashboard. So we're going to do that. So we're going to go to the components, dashboard page. I really should refactor this. Oh my god. Thank you. Fuck's sakes. Excuse my French. Cool. I need to do that with the search too. I'm just matching everything up. And then that project should also be project page. Come on, refactor, rename. All right, cool. And then I think not found becomes not found page. All right, cool. Not found page. Sweet. All right, that should all be fine and dandy. There we go. All right, cool. I'm just gonna refresh, make sure everything works. Dashboard, dashboard search. Yep, and then we'll have a page information page later, but that will, yeah, we'll get back to that. Sorry if you mentioned this already, but I clicked on the link. Every page says you're stuck on page hello world. Yeah, at the moment, yep, yeah. I'm only doing a vertical slice. So the idea is all of these other pages I won't focus on. I've just got to write up on the dashboard being like, hey, listen, we want some feedback. Please note the only thing working here is the project. Everything else, yeah. So yeah, I'm just setting that up right now. Yeah, it saves me doing everything, where if I can focus on just that vertical slice, get that feedback for that vertical slice, I'll implement it a lot quicker, yeah, and have that feedback loop done a lot quicker. And then if I need the designs for the Kanban board, a lot of that will come from the already existing design, so I'm not double handling stuff, and yeah. All right, we want to go into dashboard. Oh, that's just testing it out. So I'm gonna say welcome. We are going to welcome to the redesign. Currently, this is a vertical slice of we have only implemented the design for the projects section of NearBeach. Yep. And what I want to do is learn how to spell. Alright, so that's just going to be like all of that, but what we actually want to do is we want to actually have a card component, and then we want a card header. We don't need the slot in there. I'm mucking this up. Hold on. No, we've got it as welcome to the redesign. So we've got the card header. So I'm just looking at how I've constructed this again. Prop subtitle. Oh, it's title and description. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard page. Yep, title and description. Sean, add description. We'll just put that there for the moment. We'll get rid of that, and then what we'll do is we just need that. We'll just... Now, this is complaining because we haven't imported it. That's fine. What we can do, boom, and boom, easy done. And then we'll add in the content. And then the card. We won't need card footer, but if we go over here, welcome to the redesign, all right, cool. We are looking for your feedback. All right, cool. So, all right. Actually, we want to do something like this. I just want to do, what is this? We just want to go through here. We are currently redesigning NearBeach, and we want users' feedback for the new designs before we start implementing them. All right, cool. I'm gonna talk about a vertical slice. This is a vert. Of the new NearBeach design. We want to have users' feedback before it gets into NearBeach. Right, cool. I think that's better. This is a vertical slice. Could do Y. Sorry, Y. How and what. All right, cool. Why have we built this? All right, cool. Users are a very important. Users are very important. Each. Hang on. Contributed many great features and requests. All right, what I'm doing here is just a little writing method that I use to sort of flip the narrative around, and yeah, so I go why, how, and what. So the why is users are very important to NearBeach. Actually, no, I'll go the other way. If we go the other way and we go what, how, and why, it'll be like, well, the what will be, we want to include all users to supply feedback. All right, cool. Users have contributed many great new features and functionality requests in the past. And then users are very important to NearBeach. And it's like, all right. But if we start off, users are very important to NearBeach. Users have contributed many great new features and functionality requests in the past. And we want to include all users' feedback and so forth. That sounds a lot better. And Mark Ferns, welcome. I have built an open source project management system called NearBeach. We are currently redesigning it. We're going to get rid of all the technical debt and all that kind of stuff. Oh, the IDE. Yes, sorry. PyCharm. That is the Python IDE from JetBrains. Full disclosure, I get it for free because NearBeach is open source, and so is this mockup. So yeah. All right. Users and their input. I don't want to say input. The community. Let's. The community of users are very important to NearBeach and its development. Over the past number of years, NearBeach has had many great contributions from its users, both code and feature requests. This includes code, feature requests, and bug reports. Leave the what in its own little field. We are currently looking for feedback on NearBeach's new design. You can just set topic and point and ask AI for some content. I like to write things. Brains, not beans. So writing is one of my weakest sort of points, and what I want to do is I want to improve it, and the only way I can improve it is if I actually do it. So yeah. Alright, so why have we built this? The community of users are very important to NearBeach and its development. Over the past number of years, NearBeach has had many great contributions from its users and the community. We are just going to do that. This includes codes, features, requests, and bug reports. We're currently looking for feedback on the NearBeach's new design. Cool. So why the vertical slice? So once again, go why, how, and what. We would love to get the design into your hands a lot quicker. So we've had to cut down how much we are including within the vertical slice. This is where I don't know how to spell vertical properly. There we go. It's not even that. Oh, it's Cal. I've even been pronouncing it wrong for many years. So, yeah. We would love to get the design into your hands a lot quicker, so we've had to cut down how much we're including within the vertical slice. This means we'll have less to develop and fix as we get feedback, thus speeding up the feedback loop. Alright, cool. Alright, where can I give feedback? This is a really good one. all feedback can be given to us on either and then I just want to go a ref equals x.com bucket ref equals no follow no index and this will be Twitter. Oh, and target blank. All right. Let's go blank. Ah, there we go. All right, down here, what we've got is Discord. I might 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. We've got Blue Sky in there too. I actually don't know my Blue Sky off the top of my head. B Sky app at report head, I think it is. Alright, profile. No. Something a lot more annoying. Damn it. Alright, cool. So, we've got a couple of options. Unsorted lists. Why are you complaining? I don't know what I changed then, but who cares? Let's delete that. Let's delete that. Let's delete that. Let's delete that. So that should, in theory, look a lot nicer. We're gonna change those headings. I think that looks good enough. All right, cool. Give me a couple of seconds. What I want to do is under the main, no, sorry, under the styles main. There we go. I want to do the header 2 and all that kind of stuff because they're at the moment they're the same size. We want to do 1.5, 1.75, actually 1.625. I think that's good enough. Font weight, bold, yep. And then we want margin, top. I think we want to. I'll fix that up in a second. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a inline styling for that one. There we go. So that's a bit better. So we've got the break, we've got all of this. This does not look like it doesn't look like that at all. I'm just going to cancel that. I'm going to rerun this. I'm just gonna, yeah, that should rebuild. We've still got this being rather huge. No. Oh, hold on. Yep, no, it's in here too. All right, cool. Yeah, 2.5. All right. That's better. All right, cool. And yeah, the problem is that if I go margin top and I go -1 REM, yeah, I think that's, that's good. Just going to check on mobile phone very, very quickly, because once again, we do things on the small. So welcome to the redesign. All right, that's fine, being split over multiple lines. We've got that too. Now those are bold. Now, I think, yeah, I think that's gonna work. We do have a bit of pink text, which means our main is not fully calculated. All right, so on the app down here, got the main height, now it's gonna be like that, but I don't know what happens when we're on the full screen. That then has the, yeah, all right, cool, yep. I think this will be, right, that doesn't do that. That doesn't have the that. All right, cool. That's okay. iPad. Yep, that's fine. Flippity do iPad. That's fine. All right, cool. All right. Oh, that might be an annoyance. All right. Yeah, when someone clicks on this, it might be good to have it disappear. Okay, that's something I can think about later. I'll get people's feedback first. So the idea is, if it's gonna cover everything, I mean, that's a quick fix. That's actually something we can do right now. So that's actually on the navbar components themselves. So I want to go into this. I want to go into source. I want to go into components. I want to open up the nav. I want to open up the, I think it's the nav component. No, it would be the item themselves. So, here it is, close menu, method, close menu if the menu is under certain thing. Let's bump open the styles, the variables, the media variables. I think it was this screen size that we're dealing with. So we're just gonna paste that in like that and be like, yeah. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to refresh anyway. So if I click on here and I go into requirement, yep, perfect. But if I were, let's say on my normal screen, and I click in here and I go into, let's say a project or something, it stays open because there's enough space for it to just stay open. Easy done. All right. So I want to go wide vertical side below feedback. We have only implemented the following sections. We're going to do unsorted list. We're going to do list item. We're going to go project search. Are you vibe? No, mate. I've literally been typing most of this all night and reading documentation. No. The LLM0 tool I want to program, so I do most of it myself. We've got the project search, we've got the new project, and then we'll have the project information. And then what I want to do is I actually want to do a little span in here. Project search, span. We're going to do a style equal. We're going to do a font weight. I know these are in line, but that's perfectly fine. These are just temporary sort of stuff. Font weight is going to be lighter. Done like that, and then to be constructed. New project. Span style equals font weight equals lighter. This would be click on the plus next to the click on the plus on the project item in the navbar. And then we're just going to go span style equals font weight. This is lighter. And this is to be constructed. Right, cool. So that just tells everyone, hey, this is where everything is, and so forth like that. So, yeah. Alright, it is looking really, really good. And since that, it's just laid out. Yeah, we'll definitely need some designers in. We look at that. Yeah, that's okay. And then, yeah, project, that bar, and then they go bang, and then like that. And then we just need to do the 404 not found page. Which it's going to be easy to do. So we need to add in a router stuff later on, but what we want to do is we go card component, like so, easy done. Oh, oops, that was meant to be like that. And then we'll just have card header where the title equals for not found. Like so. We'll need to import those, but that's very, very simple. We just go up here, we just go import, and then we just go card component, boom, like that, import card header, boom, like that. No, not card header component. And that's done like that. And then what I want to do, I mean, we could pass through the title, but I'm just going to do something like that, get rid of that. That should just render. Yeah, that's fine. yeah. Once again, I'll get feedback. And then when it's on this page, people are 404, and you can be like, all right, cool, yep, not found. I do need to double check with this, because we do have specific things that we got in place. Now the apps have stopped running, but that's okay. We should have in here, so we've got all that Chromium desktop, page not found, it's still running how we want it to, so the mount component works. Make sure there is only one heading, and make sure that the landing page is correct. All right, cool. These have stopped working, so we'll figure that out in a second. So I'll do that so you guys can actually see. Expected welcome to the redesign to be on that dash. All right, yeah. Received welcome to the redesign. Expected dashboard. All right, you know, that's not a problem. What we've got to do is we're just going to update that at the moment. This is part of the dashboard tests. So, oh no, this is part of the app. Oh yeah, this is part of the app. The app test. So we're just going to go into the app tests. We're just going to scroll all the way up. So we're quite happy, mount component, yada yada yada. We no longer have it like that. We've got it like that. I can get rid of the rest of these tests out of down here, because we don't need to retest that. There's no reason to retest that. These will have that dashboard in there. So we're getting rid of that very, very quickly. We're testing the viewport stuff with the menu being open and stuff like that. So if we go back into our unit tests, wherever they've gone, we've now got mount component. I'm just gonna hit play with that one. Expected, received. I'm just gonna close it. I'm gonna rerun it. Sometimes you just need to. So mount component doesn't run. All right. No longer equals the snapshot. So it's right down here with the snapshot. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to do a to-do write up how we are going to make these snapshots. Actually, no, let's... I don't want to do the snapshot testing. I'm just going to close that. I'm just going to cancel that. We're just going to run this. Cool, done. I've got to test whether or not, I've got to figure out whether or not I want to do snapshot testing. It's one of those things where I'm like, because it's going to change constantly. That's the problem. We might move things around and all that kind of fun stuff, and it does add in that extra sort of step where you got to come in and you got to be like, all right, cool, we changed it for this. Now we've got to recompile everything. We've got to double check all of this. But then again, it does add in that double checking. All right, 404 not found does work. Search currently doesn't work, but that's perfectly fine. We can quickly get that done very, very quickly. We can go on here and we can go, all right, cool. All of that is done like that. And then we can go in here and go card component then card header with the title equals to search, and we'll end it like that. And then all we want to do is and then paste that in. We want to go up to the top. We want to go import card component. Cool. Import card header, not header component. Thank you. Want to reformat that. I'll lint it out. There it goes. Search. Yep. Cool. Easy done. Hello world. Yep. That's just there. Just you know, for the translation. We'll implement that pretty quickly. Okay, cool. All right, let's rebuild this. Ooh, tests have failed. I think it's part of the search, right? No, it's been crazy. All right, cool. npm run build. And I think I've got my, yep, yes I do. Sites, we want the new design mockup, we want the dist. I am not bringing that fav icon over. Oh, piss off. Drop it there. All right. Okay. Update has occurred. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, cool. Now, another thing that we have, browser stack. We actually did accessibility testing on here the other day. Oh, another thing I want to actually do. Stack settings. Oh, I don't think Node will work. Let's apply it. So I'm just changing my stack at the moment. That shouldn't take too long to sort of implement. It'll break stuff. That's fine. But hopefully it means I can do new project. No, it doesn't. All right. No, it doesn't. Fucking annoying, isn't it? Ooh. How much? Give me 2 seconds. Actually, I'm just gonna, yeah, just delete that. All right, cool. Add to estimate. App service. We're in Australia. I think I'm in the southeast. We want the. We've got the. Oh, yeah, no. Nah, I think I got the basic. Yeah, I think I've got the basic. B2. Yeah, B2. Yeah. Alright, yeah, I don't want the expensive one. No. Okay, this is rebuilding. So I was just looking at this. Don't worry about that. Alright, so website scanner, that's what we were using. So we have this one. We've got the report. Application error. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. You were gonna fall over at any stage. All right. All right. Give me a couple of seconds. I'm gonna see if I can fix this up very, very quickly. Azure Web Apps. I'm just gonna hit refresh. Where got an index row. All right. Yeah, when it's time to look, like build command, root index, produce a dynamic sound file. All right, cool. Baseline, Alright, package, nested, alright, cool. Alright, Azure Web App, and what we're searching for is hosting this as a node application, so that way the routes work. Yeah. Okay, so we'll just do this. Learn the quick start, Node.js Express with the yep, alright, cool. So we set this up, set up the initial environment, create your Node.js application. Yep, we've done that in the portal. I wonder if I can flip this to portal. Right click act, create web app. Okay, cool. Yep, we've done that. Select priority. Yep, all right. I mean, worst case scenario, I can always let's go back to the PHP. Fuck off. Ain't that button. Excuse my French. Alright, cool. Not worried about that at the moment. Alright, we'll come back. Alright, so score. I'm just going to do this so you guys can actually see issues. So we've got one critical. Yeah, cool. It's probably because the site is down. Serious 11. So, search issues. All right, cool. Elements must meet minimum color threshold. All right, cool. Yep, no, that's fine. That can be easily fixed. This is application logs. Application logs. I mean, holy fuck. all issue summary. So I think we can get there. Okay. I think we can do this. All right. Yeah, screw that. All right, cool. Configuration. .NET 10. Custom stuff is off. Apply. All right, cool. Sorry, I'm just setting up the resetting up the mock-up site so we can test. All right, I'm just going to close all of this. Yeah, so we've hit one of these, not a problem. I've got it rebuilding at the moment. The other thing I want to do is have a look at this, get accessibility out and done. There are plugins for it that we use. So for example, if we move this to the left and we open up the Axe one, all right, cool. So yeah, Series 11. All right, elements. Ensure error attributes are not prohibited by the. All right, cool. Ah, that's not me. All right. The one problem is it's picking up the view sort of stuff in here. So what I'm going to do, npm run build. Actually, I don't need to. cd into the dist, and then php capital S localhost 8080 8081. We go up here, localhost 8081. Open up this. We're going to go into the Axe tools, do full page scan. We've got 10 issues. Elements must have a. All right, so I'm going to highlight that. All right, so this has a problem because it doesn't like the color. So it's right here. So we're going to fix that up very, very quickly. That can be fixed. And there's 8 of those. Yeah, all right, cool. Yep, let's fix those up right now whilst we're getting everything rebuilt. So I'm going to close all tabs. We're going to minimize everything. We're going to open up new design. We're going to open up the source. We're going to open up the, this is part of the components. This is part of the nav. I've got to break this nav into different areas. We're going to refactor it. We're probably also going to move this over into utilities. Actually, let's do that right now. We'll go create a folder and go interfaces. We then just move that over there and we go refactor. Actually, I want to undo that because I didn't actually tick the search for references. Refactor. Cool. It'll be the individual items that we've got the style on. So if we go into here, we should see text color. Text decoration, none. Color is gray. Let me just double check. I'm just going to inspect this. Yeah, color gray. Okay, cool. So yeah, we've got to pick a color. But luckily for us, we actually have some styles. Variables, general variables. All right, cool. Oh, that's one thing we haven't done. We haven't made the text texty. So we've got the text red. We've also got text. Okay, cool. So we might as well use the colors in here. So instead of color gray, we can go var, and then we have one called text. Let's have a look at what that will look like. I'm gonna cancel that. We're gonna go npm run dev. That's pretty dark. Pretty red. Let's also got dark mode. Text muted. Let's try text muted. Okay, that looks a lot better. And then another thing we want to do is hover does something like this. Menu item. Oh, the news a different color. Okay. I'm gonna keep the blues in there. That's not gonna be a problem. They also work on dark modes too. Do they? Oh, I've got to check that. Got to check that. And Elemental Magic's card game. Hey, how are you? Sorry, I've just saw your chat. I didn't have chat open. So yeah, welcome. I do apologize for not saying anything quicker. So yeah, is it time for Idris to what's this PHP? PHP is just to get the server running. But all of this is just VueJS. As simple as that. I've also got to see if my site is back up and running, so I'm just going to hit refresh and hope for the best. Alright, so I'm also going to do another axe scan on here. So we've only got 3 issues. That's that. Alright, that's not a problem. And those. UL and OL must only contain list item script template elements. Ooh, what have I got? UL. Alright, and yeah, that should be a list item then. Oh, that's easy to do. That's, yeah. That's going back into the menu item. That's going down here. Yeah, that's just changing that. And that will look the same. Now, we've got to make sure the other ones, the skeletons, are the same too. So we've got skeleton in here. And I think these have got to be list items also. So if I refresh, cool, done, perfect. All right, what do I want to do? I want to rerun the axe. We've got 1 issue, elements, all right, and that's just that down there, sweet. So now I want to do npm run build. That builds everything. And let's have a look to see if my site is back up and running. All right, robotic head.azure websites and so forth like that. Sweet. I've got to drag and drop something in, so give me a couple of seconds. I'm actually going to go into here, and I am going to go SEM. I'm going to try out the new thing. I'm going to go, not AI Playground, I'm going to go File Manager, File, Root. Yeah, I do have content, thank you very much. Just going to go in. I'm just going to, and I'm going to hit save. Huh. Nah. It's probably still building stuff. Alright. Not a problem. Alright, so I've done a little bit of the accessibility. We want to go into, have I stopped this now? Yeah, I've stopped this. Let's go into the dev, let's go back over here, let's go refresh, let's go project. I am going to rerun the scan. Yes, the only one thing on there. Cool. If I go into the search, rerun scan, ready. Yeah, it's the only thing on there. That's perfectly fine. And then if I go in here, rerun scan, ready. All right, cool. One other thing I could potentially do is with the text, we could make it all the text that color. I'm gonna say yes. So I click on the wrong thing, don't I? Styles, main. So we're just going to go text color. Oh, wait, hang on. That's just color. It's going to be bar, and it's going to be text, like so. So it's all like that. However, that being said, maybe that will work. Possibly. Once again, I'll get feedback. We can do something like that. So we've got the plain black, sort of near black text. We've also got the muted colors there. Yeah, that. But once again, I've got to rescan. Yeah, that's the only issue there. All right, cool. Oh, that's because I clicked on that. Yeah, still got that tiny little bit of movement in there. I will have to fix that at another date. But let's also refresh this. For those wondering how you fill these out, SEM. And I'll just try the new now. We've got the file manager system, but the thing is, it's got all the assets there. And it's like, what? No. All right, not a problem. I think I'm going into robotic head. I'm going to go into configuration. I'm going to go stack settings. Yeah, all of that's fine. We've got the health check. Yeah, that's all fine. Path mappings. Yeah, no, that's not what I want. All right. General settings. Leave preview. Continue. All right. Oh yeah, this is the old Hold on. So I'm just having a look at my all of this stuff. Because there should be an option. Doesn't matter. Something I can do after stream. So I'm quite happy with all of that so far. Yeah, all right, cool. I'm running out of steam very, very quickly. I'm going to find someone we can raid. All right. All right. Let's go raid them. All right. Yeah, it's at the end of the day. I need to sleep soon. So yeah, hopefully tonight I get a full night's rest. Yeah, anyway, thank you very much everyone for coming tonight. It's been wonderful. We have got the design down for the new project. I'll get the test site back up and running in a minute. What we'll do is get a lot of feedback. Yeah, that's what I need. I need a lot more feedback. And yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, and I do hope you enjoy the Dev Dad. Here he is. So yeah, we'll turn this music down, and we'll hit raid. Anyway, for those on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help the channel. So yeah, thank you very much.